Tower, this is
Smooth,
Flight
stable
19.
mail
We seem to
podcast.
be lost.
The
Everything is
compasses
wrong,
spun
strange.
wildly,
We can't
useless.
see land.
Below, the ocean was no longer blue, but a churning, featureless emerald, reflecting a sky that offered no horizon. Everything is wrong, a voice crackled, laced with
heavens,
growing
what
panic.
sorcery is
We
this?
can't tell where anything
Captain,
is.
the
It looks
compass.
like we're
It's
entering whitewater.
bewitched.
That was the last transmission from Flight 19. 5 Avenger torpedo bombers, simply gone. And the rescue plane sent after them vanished too. Not a single trace was ever found. Welcome, seekers of the unexplained, to a journey into one of the world's most enduring enigmas. Today we plunge into the heart of the Atlantic's most notorious stretch, the Bermuda Triangle, a true vortex of disappearance where fact often blurs with legend. By the end of this deep dive, you'll not only uncover the chilling history behind these vanishings, from early accounts to the infamous loss of Flight 19, but you'll also begin to question everything you thought you knew about the line between natural phenomena and the truly inexplicable. If you find yourself drawn to the shadows of history and the riddles that defy easy answers, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Join our quest to uncover the stories the world forgot. Now, dim the lights, perhaps grab a warm drink, and let's begin our descent into the legend that refuses to die. The story of the Bermuda Triangle, though often associated with modern disappearances, reaches back farther than many might imagine. Its unsettling reputation, a whisper of peril woven into the very fabric of the Atlantic, has roots that stretch back centuries, far preceding the age of flight. Before the term Bermuda Triangle ever graced a magazine page, the waters it encompasses were already steeped in tales of the uncanny. Perhaps the earliest recorded account comes from none other than Christopher Columbus himself. On his inaugural voyage to the New World in 1492, as his ships, the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria, navigated these very seas, Columbus noted peculiar phenomena in his logbooks. He wrote of his compass behaving erratically, its needle swinging wildly as if disoriented by an invisible force. He also described seeing a great flame of fire crash into the sea one night, and weeks later, a strange, dancing light appearing in the distance. While some modern interpretations suggest these could be meteors or distant lights, Columbus's descriptions painted a picture of an ocean alive with unexplained occurrences. As European exploration and trade intensified across the Atlantic, so too did the anecdotal accounts of strange happenings within this general region. Sailors, often superstitious by nature, traded stories of ghost ships, disorienting fogs, and sudden, violent storms that seemed to materialize from clear skies. The area became known by various ominous names among mariners: the Devil's Triangle, the Limbo of the Lost, and even the Hoodoo Sea. These weren't isolated incidents, but rather a growing collection of eerie maritime misfortunes, contributing to an unofficial, shadowy cartography of fear. However, the specific triangular boundaries we recognize today, stretching roughly from Florida across to Bermuda and down to Puerto Rico, then back to Florida, were not formally defined until much later. It was in 1950 that an Associated Press article by Edward Van Winkle Jones of the Miami Herald brought the idea of unusual disappearances in the Bermuda area to a wider audience. 2 years later, in 1952, George X. Sand, writing for Fate magazine, was the first to explicitly outline a triangular region where these losses were concentrated. Yet it was author Vincent Gaddis who cemented the moniker Bermuda Triangle into popular consciousness with his 1964 magazine article, The Deadly Bermuda Triangle, for Argosy magazine. Gaddis's article, and later his book, Invisible Horizons, highlighted a pattern of mysterious disappearances fueling the burgeoning myth. Charles Berlitz, with his sensational bestseller, The Bermuda Triangle, in 1974, further propelled the legend, even weaving in theories of Atlantis. Suddenly, what had been disparate tales and local lore coalesced into a defined, enigmatic zone. The Bermuda Triangle became a household name, a place where the ordinary rules of physics and navigation seemed to bend or simply cease to exist. But while earlier incidents laid the groundwork, It was a particularly chilling event in the aftermath of World War II that truly catapulted the Bermuda Triangle into global notoriety, an event so profound it continues to haunt the imagination decades later: the Vanishing Squadron. The date was December 5, 1945, a seemingly unremarkable afternoon in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The air was warm with billowing clouds, and the general weather conditions were considered typical for training flights. 5 U.S. Navy TBM Avenger torpedo bombers, robust single-engine aircraft that had proven their resilience in the Pacific during World War II, prepared for a routine overwater navigation and bombing exercise. This training flight, designated Navigation Problem Number 1, was intended to be a straightforward 3-hour triangular route: east to the Hen and Chicken Shoals in the Bahamas for a practice bombing run, then north, and finally southwest back to Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale. Leading this squadron, known as Flight 19, was Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor, a seasoned flight instructor with over 2,500 flying hours, many of them in Avenger torpedo bombers, and a combat tour in the Pacific theater under his belt. While the 4 trainee pilots under his command had fewer hours, ranging around 300 each, they were in experienced hands. This was, however, Taylor's first time flying this specific route. The initial phase of the mission proceeded without a hitch. At approximately 2:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the 5 Avengers lifted off from the runway, their powerful engines roaring as they ascended into the clear sky. They reached Hen and Chicken Shoals, carried out their bombing runs as planned around 2:30 p.m., and continued on the second leg of their journey. But around 3:45 p.m., a chilling shift occurred. A radio message was intercepted not from Fort Lauderdale Tower to the planes, but between the planes themselves. One of the student pilots, Marine Captain Edward Powers, was heard asking another for his compass reading, stating, "I don't know where we are. We must have gotten lost after that last turn." Then, Lieutenant Taylor's voice, usually calm and authoritative, broke through the static. "Both my compasses are out," he reported to Fort Lauderdale. "I am trying to find Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am over land, but it's broken. I am sure I'm in the Keys, but I don't know how far down, and I don't know how to get to Fort Lauderdale." The situation rapidly deteriorated. Ground control operators at Fort Lauderdale attempted to guide Flight 19. They suggested Taylor switch frequencies, use his emergency IFF transmitter for triangulation, and even had advised him to simply point his planes west towards the setting sun, which would lead them to the Florida mainland. But Taylor, convinced he was over the Keys and mistakenly believing he was in the Gulf of Mexico, insisted on flying northeast, which would take them further out to sea, away from safety. His judgment seemed impaired, a baffling turn for such an experienced aviator.
Other pilots on the flight, likely recognizing their true position over the Atlantic, tried to communicate with Taylor, even attempting to take lead. But Taylor maintained control, his voice growing increasingly agitated and fragmented. At one point, he famously radioed to his squadron, "All planes close up tight. We'll have to ditch unless landfall. When the first plane drops below 10 gallons, we all go down together." The last fragmented message from Flight 19 was received around 6:20 p.m. or 7:04 p.m., depending on the report, a haunting whisper of their final moments, the mention of white water as they prepared for a forced landing. Then, silence. All 5 planes and the 14 men aboard them simply vanished. The U.S. Navy immediately launched a massive search and rescue operation. Among the aircraft dispatched were 2 Martin PBM Mariner flying boats, large twin-engine seaplanes. One of these, PBM-5, Bureau number 59225, took off from Naval Air Station Banana River at 7:27 p.m. with a crew of 13. Just minutes after its routine radio check-in at 7:30 p.m., it too disappeared.
A merchant tanker in the area, the SS Gaines Mills, reported seeing a burst of flame around 7:50 p.m. followed by an oil slick, suggesting the mariner had suffered a mid-air explosion. Mariners were, in fact, infamously known as flying gas tanks due to their propensity for fuel vapor accumulation, making mid-air explosions a known risk. Despite one of the largest peacetime air and sea searches in history, covering over 300,000 square miles for 5 days, not a single trace of Flight 19 or the vanished mariner was ever found. No wreckage, no debris, no bodies. The Navy's investigation initially attributed Flight 19's loss to Lieutenant Taylor's disorientation and compass malfunction, suggesting they ran out of fuel and ditched at sea. But the sheer inexplicable nature of 6 military aircraft and 27 men vanishing without a trace in seemingly normal conditions that turned chaotic cemented Flight 19 as the cornerstone of the Bermuda Triangle legend. It became the definitive story, the one that truly captured the world's imagination and solidified the area as a vortex of unfathomable disappearance. The vanishing of Flight 19, along with the PBM mariner sent to find them, was truly the event that etched the Bermuda Triangle into the public consciousness. But these were not isolated incidents. Over the decades, countless other vessels and aircraft have seemingly disappeared without a trace within this enigmatic region, each adding another layer to the enduring mystery.
Beyond Flight 19, the annals of the Bermuda Triangle are filled with unsettling tales of vanishing acts, each contributing to the area's chilling reputation. These are not merely statistics. They are stories of lives lost, of families left without answers, and of a sea that simply refuses to give up its secrets. One of the earliest and most profound mysteries linked to the Triangle is the disappearance of the USS Cyclops. This massive collier, a 542-foot-long ship of the United States Navy, vanished in March 1918. She departed from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, on February 16, 1918, with a cargo of nearly 10,000 tons of manganese ore, vital for steel production during World War I, and 306 crew and passengers aboard. Her destination was Baltimore, Maryland. The last known communication from the Cyclops was an unscheduled stop in Barbados on March 3rd, after which she set sail for Baltimore. She was expected to arrive by March 13th, but she never did. No distress signal was ever received, no wreckage, no debris, no bodies. Nothing was ever found. The U.S. Navy launched an extensive search, but it yielded no results. The sheer size of the vessel, coupled with the complete lack of any trace, made the Cyclops' disappearance one of the most baffling mysteries in naval history outside of combat. Theories at the time ranged from German U-boat attacks, though post-war records found no evidence of this, to internal sabotage or even structural failure due to her heavy cargo. To this day, the fate of the USS Cyclops remains unknown, a silent testament to the sea's power. Fast forward to the post-war era, and the skies above the Bermuda Triangle became the stage for more vanishing acts, particularly involving commercial airliners. The British South American Airways, or BSAA, suffered 2 particularly notable losses that further fueled the legend.
The Star Tiger, an Avro Tudor 4 passenger aircraft, was on a flight from Santa Maria in the Azores to Bermuda on January 30th, 1948. It carried 25 passengers and 6 crew members. The flight was scheduled to arrive in Bermuda at 3:56 a.m., but shortly after a routine radio check-in around 3:15 a.m., where the radio operator requested a bearing to Bermuda, communication ceased. Despite strong headwinds, the aircraft's navigator had confirmed their position, and they were expected to have enough fuel to reach their destination. The weather was stable, with no severe atmospheric disturbances or electrical storms reported.
An extensive 5-day search operation was launched, involving 26 aircraft and numerous surface craft. But not a single trace of the Star Tiger or its 31 occupants was ever found. The official inquiry concluded that there were no known faults with the aircraft that would cause it to break up in the air, and no severe weather conditions to explain a sudden catastrophic failure. The disappearance was, and remains, baffling.
Less than a year later, almost to the day, another BSAA Avro Tudor 4, the Star Ariel, vanished on January 17, 1949. This time, the flight was from Bermuda to Kingston, Jamaica, with 7 crew and 13 passengers on board. Conditions were reported as excellent, with clear visibility, and the pilot chose a high-altitude flight path. After a routine radio update at 9:37 a.m. and a subsequent message at 9:42 a.m. indicating a frequency change, the Star Ariel was never heard from again. The plane simply disappeared mid-flight. Once again, a massive search operation involving multiple aircraft and naval vessels, including the USS Missouri and 2 aircraft carriers, yielded absolutely no wreckage or trace of the aircraft or its 20 occupants. The uncanny similarity of these 2 disappearances, 2 identical aircraft from the same airline, vanishing without a trace in good weather, with no distress calls and no wreckage, deepened the mystery surrounding the Bermuda Triangle. Another well-documented incident is the disappearance of a Douglas DC-3 on December 28, 1948. This commercial flight departed from San Juan, Puerto Rico, bound for Miami, Florida, with 36 passengers and crew. The pilot, Captain Robert Lindquist, radioed the control tower when they were just 50 miles south of Miami, stating they could see the lights of the city and were preparing for landing. He said, "All's well, we'll stand by for landing instructions." Moments later, the plane vanished from radar. Despite the relatively shallow waters of the Florida Keys, which average about 20 feet deep, and an extensive search, no wreckage, no debris, and no bodies were ever found. The DC-3 was known for its reliability, and the sudden complete disappearance so close to a destination on a clear night defied conventional explanation, leaving investigators bewildered. Even smaller vessels have contributed to the enigma. The Witchcraft, a 23-foot cabin cruiser, disappeared in December 1967. Its owner, Dan Burak, with a friend, went out to view the Christmas lights of Miami from the water. He made a calm radio call to the Coast Guard, reporting that his boat had struck something floating and requested a tow, stating he was 1 mile offshore from Miami. The Coast Guard cutter arrived at the reported location just 19 minutes later, but the Witchcraft, which was supposedly unsinkable due to its flotation device, was gone. There was no distress, no wreckage, nothing. The boat, along with its 2 occupants, vanished completely, leaving behind another perplexing entry in the Bermuda Triangle's long list of unexplained disappearances. These are just a few of the more prominent cases, but the cumulative effect of these unexplained vanishing acts has led to a fertile ground for speculation, giving rise to theories that stretch the boundaries of conventional understanding.
The profound mystery surrounding these disappearances naturally led to a wide array of imaginative and often unsettling explanations. When conventional logic fails to provide answers, the human mind often turns to the extraordinary, weaving tales of the supernatural and pseudoscientific to fill the void. These theories, while lacking concrete scientific evidence, have become deeply ingrained in the lore of the Bermuda Triangle, capturing the imagination and fueling the enigma. Perhaps one of the most popular and persistent theories involves the lost city of Atlantis. Proponents of this idea suggest that the mythical city, supposedly powered by advanced energy crystals, lies submerged beneath the waves of the Bermuda Triangle. According to this theory, these ancient crystal energies are still active, emitting powerful electromagnetic fields that interfere with the navigation and propulsion systems of ships and aircraft, causing them to malfunction and disappear.
The idea was particularly popularized by author Charles Berlitz in his best-selling book 1974, The Bermuda Triangle. Some even connect this theory to the Bimini Road, a submerged rock formation off the coast of Bimini in the Bahamas, which some believers interpret as man-made walls or roads from the lost city, though scientists classify it as a natural geological formation. The very notion of an ancient, powerful civilization influencing modern disappearances adds a layer of mystical intrigue that many find compelling. Another frequently cited explanation involves extraterrestrial activity. The Bermuda Triangle, some theorize, is a hotspot for alien encounters, possibly serving as an underwater base or even a portal for UFOs to enter and exit our planet. The disappearances, in this view, are not accidents, but rather abductions. Ships and planes, along with their occupants, are taken by aliens for research or other unknown purposes. The idea of a Stargate or UFO portal through which extraterrestrials conduct intergalactic travel is a thrilling, albeit unproven, concept that resonates with those who believe we are not alone in the universe. The alleged sighting of mysterious luminous objects by pilots in the area further fuels these alien theories, making the triangle a focal point for UFO enthusiasts.
Then there is the intriguing concept of time warps, or dimensional shifts. This theory suggests that the Bermuda Triangle is a place where the fabric of space and time becomes thin or distorted, allowing vessels and aircraft to slip into another dimension or time period. They don't disappear in the traditional sense. They're simply transported to a place or time from which they cannot return. The most famous anecdotal evidence for this theory comes from pilot Bruce Gernon Jr., who claimed to have experienced an electronic fog during a flight in 1970. Gernon recounted flying into a strange elliptical cloud that became dark and black, with intensely bright white flashes. He claimed his compass spun wildly, and he traveled 100 miles in just a few minutes, experiencing a significant time distortion. He described passing through a tunnel vortex and emerging much further than he should have been in an impossible amount of time. This electronic fog phenomenon, where a meteorological event causes temporal and spatial disorientation and equipment malfunction, has become a key element in time warp theories. While Gernon's experience is unique and captivating, it lacks scientific corroboration. Some theories delve into more esoteric energy phenomena, suggesting that unknown energy fields or magnetic anomalies within the triangle disrupt instruments and human perception. While a true magnetic anomaly has not been found in the area by scientists, the idea persists that some unseen force is at play. This could manifest as sudden and drastic changes in compass readings, leading to catastrophic navigational errors, or even as more direct energy discharges that could disintegrate vessels. The concept of a comet, perhaps with strange electromagnetic properties, having crashed into the ocean floor of the Bermuda Triangle 11,000 years ago, is another variant of this energy theory. These supernatural and pseudoscientific explanations, while captivating, often draw their power from the unknown, offering sensational narratives where conventional answers are scarce. They appeal to a desire for something beyond the mundane, transforming tragic disappearances into elements of a grand, unexplained cosmic or mystical design. However, it is important to remember that these theories frequently lack empirical evidence and are often dismissed by the scientific community. While the allure of the unknown and the fantastical explanations for the Bermuda Triangle's mysteries are undeniably captivating, a closer examination often reveals more grounded, logical, and scientific explanations for the reported disappearances.
The vast majority of incidents, when thoroughly investigated, can be attributed to natural phenomena, human error, or a combination of both.
One of the most significant factors is the geography and environmental conditions of the Bermuda Triangle itself. This region is one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, connecting major ports in Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. With a high volume of traffic, a higher number of incidents, relatively speaking, is to be expected compared to less traveled areas. The weather in the Atlantic Ocean, particularly in this tropical and subtropical zone, is notoriously unpredictable. The Bermuda Triangle is frequently swept by tropical storms and hurricanes, which can arise suddenly and with extreme force. Before the advent of modern weather satellites and advanced forecasting, ships and planes often had little to no warning of these violent systems. A sudden, powerful storm can easily overwhelm even large vessels or cause aircraft to lose control, disintegrate in midair, or be forced down into the turbulent seas. For instance, strong downdrafts of cold air, known as microbursts, could cause an aircraft to plummet, or a powerful squall line could capsize a ship almost instantaneously. The rapid, sometimes violent changes in weather are also influenced by the swift Gulf Stream, a powerful ocean current that flows through the triangle. These currents can be strong enough to quickly disperse wreckage, making recovery efforts incredibly difficult and leaving no trace behind. Navigational errors and human fallibility are also significant contributors to maritime and aviation incidents worldwide, and the Bermuda Triangle is no exception. Compasses, the fundamental tools of navigation, point to magnetic north, which is not the same as true north. This difference, known as magnetic variation, must be constantly accounted for by navigators. The Bermuda Triangle is one of the few places on Earth where true north and magnetic north can align, along what is called an agonic line. While this phenomenon is known and accounted for by experienced navigators, a momentary lapse in judgment, an inexperienced pilot, or a faulty instrument could lead to significant disorientation, sending a vessel or aircraft far off course into dangerous waters or unexpected weather. In the case of Flight 19, Lieutenant Taylor's reported confusion about his position and compass malfunction is often cited as a contributing factor to the tragedy. Miscommunication, misjudgment of distances, or even simple panic in an unexpected emergency can lead to catastrophic outcomes, especially over vast, featureless stretches of ocean. Another compelling scientific theory points to methane hydrates found on the seafloor. Large deposits of methane gas trapped in crystalline structures beneath the ocean floor are known to exist in the Bermuda Triangle region. If these hydrates destabilize due to changes in temperature or pressure, they could release massive bubbles of methane gas that rise rapidly to the surface. When a ship sails over such an eruption, the water beneath it would lose its buoyancy, effectively becoming a frothy, less dense mixture of water and gas, causing the ship to sink almost instantly and without warning. The sudden release of gas could also affect aircraft flying low overhead, potentially disrupting engines or causing a sudden loss of lift. While this mechanism is scientifically plausible and has been linked to seafloor craters in other parts of the world, direct evidence of recent large-scale methane releases specifically linked to disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle remains elusive. Finally, the simple reality of mechanical failure and structural limitations cannot be overlooked. Aircraft and ships, especially older models, are complex machines susceptible to unforeseen malfunctions. Engines can fail, structural integrity can be compromised, and equipment can malfunction, particularly in challenging environmental conditions. Many of the vanished aircraft and ships were of designs that, while robust for their time, may not have met modern safety standards. For example, some models had known design flaws or operational peculiarities.
The Martin PBM Mariner, for instance, was known for its flying gas tank nickname due to fuel vapor issues that made it prone to mid-air explosions. In essence, while the Bermuda Triangle continues to capture the imagination with its unsolved mysteries, many experts argue that the high number of incidents can be logically explained by a combination of challenging natural conditions, the sheer volume of traffic in the area, and the inevitable factors of human error and mechanical failure. The sensational nature of the disappearances often overshadows these more mundane, yet statistically probable explanations. So if so many of these disappearances can be attributed to understandable factors, whether human error, mechanical failure, even methane gas, why does the Bermuda Triangle continue to hold such a powerful grip on our collective imagination? The answer, perhaps, lies not in the waters themselves, but deep within the human psyche. Perhaps it's simply because, as humans, we are inherently drawn to the unexplained. The ordinary, while logical, rarely inspires the same awe or wonder as the truly mysterious. We crave stories that defy simple answers, narratives that whisper of forces beyond our comprehension. There's a certain thrill in contemplating the possibility of something truly extraordinary, something that pushes the boundaries of known science. This inherent fascination with the unknown fuels our desire for explanations that go beyond the mundane.
The media, too, has played an undeniable role in cementing the Bermuda Triangle's place in popular culture. From sensationalized documentaries to best-selling books, each new telling of a disappearance, often stripping away the more mundane details, reinforces the narrative of an inexplicable force at play. These retellings frequently focus on the most dramatic elements, carefully omitting the context of severe storms, poor maintenance, or navigational errors that might otherwise deflate the mystery. This selective storytelling amplifies the enigma. And then there's the phenomenon of confirmation bias. Once we've encountered the idea of a mysterious area, our minds are more inclined to notice and remember incidents that seem to fit that narrative, while overlooking the thousands of safe passages through the same waters. The few unsolved cases stand out vividly against the backdrop of countless routine voyages, creating a skewed perception of risk. Ultimately, the Bermuda Triangle, in its persistent enigma, offers a canvas onto which we can project our deepest fears and our most boundless curiosities. It allows us to ponder the limits of our understanding, to dream of hidden realms, and to touch upon the edges of the truly unknown. It is a story that, by its very nature, refuses to be fully resolved, and, perhaps, that is precisely why we continue to tell it, generation after generation. And so, the Bermuda Triangle remains, not merely a geographical location on a map, but a shifting, nebulous space in the collective human imagination. It is a place where the logic of science often falters, where the might of human engineering seems to vanish into thin air, and where the vast, indifferent ocean holds its secrets close. Whether the disappearances are attributed to rogue waves, navigational errors, volatile weather, or something far more extraordinary, the true power of the triangle lies not in definitive answers, but in the questions it relentlessly poses. It challenges our neatly ordered world, reminding us of the immense forces at play beyond our control, and inviting us to step, even if only in our minds, to the very edge of the fathomless unknown. It is a story that whispered on the wind, carried by the currents, and passed from one generation to the next, a testament to humanity's unending quest for wonder in the face of the inexplicable.
Thank you for joining me on this exploration into one of the world's most enduring enigmas. If this journey into the depths of mystery has captivated you, I invite you to subscribe to Whispervale. Here we delve into the untold, the forgotten, and the truly strange facts that linger at the edges of our understanding. And if you are ready to unravel another mystery, why not watch our video on the haunting disappearance of the Mary Celeste? Until next time, keep your curiosity alive, and may your own journeys be safe and filled with wonder.